Hey friends, it's Peg, and I can't believe it. I've made all 30 days of our challenge for Art Journal Habit 2018. This is day 30. The prompt is powder, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, I've done it all. If you guys are interested in seeing a flip through of the journal, put a note down below, and yeah, I'll see if anybody's interested. If not, let me just go on and do today's page. And remember that this is a month-long challenge. Doesn't mean that it stops here. It means this is a habit that we want everybody to get into. So if you haven't started yet, why wait? You don't have to wait until next year when we do this again. That'll be our 5th year of Art Journal Habit. We've done this for 4 years now, and today is the completion of that. So, powder. All right. Powder, I am thinking about, I've got these Color Burst powders, and I also have these Nuance powders from Magenta. And I'm thinking I want to do something with these powders. So let me pick a couple of colors. I like this crimson, the violet, the ultramarine we'll start with, I think. Let's start with these three. And I just want to, I have some watercolor paper. Now this is not my journal. This is cut down to my journal size. My journal's sitting over here drying. These pages from yesterday are still a little bit damp because I did dimensional stuff on here, but I will be gluing these pages in just as I will be gluing this page into my book. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to turn off my ringer dinger. And yeah, watercolor paper. I want to get a spritz bottle. So I thought I had one out here. What did I do with it? Oh, I had it with my paints from yesterday. So here's my spritz bottle. It's just got water in it. I'm just going to lightly spritz that watercolor paper. You can see that the outside of the bottle had a little bit of that stuff in it already. And I'm going to flip that over because you see the paper's curling. I am going to spritz this side so that we get moisture on both sides. And let me start with this ultramarine. This looks like a really pretty color. I just want to get a little bit of that going on here, because that's gorgeous powder, right? Ultramarine. Now here's the alizarin crimson. Let's do a little bit of that next. That's almost a red. I think I want more magenta tones in with that. So here's a nuance. It's supposed to be more of a magenta tone. So let me add a little bit of that nuance powder in here too. And I also have, if I want to change this, I can go a couple different ways. I could add the yellow, and that's going to make some oranges and some greens. That would be interesting. I could add the violet, and that's going to make the blues and reds more towards the purple. But I think I'm going to add the yellow in here. Up in here. A little bit over the blue area down here. A little into the red area so we get... Okay, so now I've got a real color mix in there. I want to wet this again because that powder, some of that powder is still just sitting on top. So I'm going to wet this and let it move and create and blend, because there's a lot of color there. Okay, now I have another piece of watercolor paper here, just like this. I'm going to line it up with this one best I can. I'm going to set it down on there. And then I'm going to take my paper toweling and I'm going to roll across here. Get any of that excess liquid. And then I'll pull that up. Oh my. So look at that color, guys. And you see here, I got an area that didn't really get covered. This is kind of a muddy mess now, but I'm going to pick some of that up and just blend it in to those areas that are still white on this one. And I've got a brush. Let me spritz my brush here. Get it nice and wet too, because I want to move some of that around. Cover that white. And then where it wants to go out towards the edge, I'm just gonna mop some of that a little bit, dry it back. Okay, now these are going to have to dry before I go on to the next step. And you'll see where I'm headed once I have this dried down. All right, I have my pages. I have one that I left in the original state, and the other one I took some white gesso and painted over. That just seals in and tones down the color. So I'm going to use a couple of different techniques here. The first one, I'm going to use I have some very old light molding paste from Golden. It's starting to get hard. I'm trying to use up what I have. So I'm just going to push that with my palette knife through that Andy Skinner stencil from Deco Art and get a coating on my page. And I want the white so that it contrasts with those bright colors. And then I'm going to move it around the page a little bit and get, because this is a small page and that's an 8x8 stencil, which is much larger than my page. So, I just wanted to get pieces of that Nautilus on my page. So I'm moving it around and putting it in certain areas on my page. Going to leave a little bit of open space. And then I will move on to my other page, which has the gesso coating over it. And I like the pastel effect that the gesso gives to those colors. You could use a clear gesso if you did not want to tone it down. But I chose to make mine pastel because I'm going to use another Deco Art Media product, which is the black gesso. And you'll see that the black gesso from Deco Art really is more of a gray, but that's okay because I have black gesso from other people and I like the gray tone of this. So I'm just going to wipe my stencil off so that I can keep on going, clean off my palette knife, and I'll get to my second piece here in just a second. But you want to make sure that you clean these types of products off of your stencil because they set up like rock, and you want to make sure that you have a smooth surface the next time you go to that stencil. Now, I don't always clean paint and everything off my stencils. I'm not that fastidious, and I don't really care as long as it's not impeding my use of the stencil. But this product, because it's chunky, will get in the way of my process. So I've cleaned that off, and I'm just, I've got used typing paper underneath, and now I'm going to sprinkle on that wet medium, I'm going to sprinkle some glitter, and get it to adhere to that medium because I like the sparkle. If you guys saw when we were in South Carolina, I had made a cup using the same technique, only I'd used Yupo paper with alcohol ink for the background. And so this is the process that I went through to create that surface. It's just that I'm using different product now. And so you can see you can use any number of products. You just need to shop your own stash. Figure out what it is you have that will make this type of effect. And yeah, go for it. But I love this stencil from Andy Skinner. I've used it several times, and it has nice big open spaces. So, you know, even if you were just doing a doodle or something on here, it would be a fun stencil. Okay, so you can see that that black gesso is not true dark black. It's more of a dark gray. And I'm just spreading that out across my stencil. And then I'll move it around on another portion of my page, and I'll get that other side of my page. And once again, I'm working on watercolor paper that I'm going to glue into my book. You don't always have to work directly in your book. So there is that. I will need to clean that stencil again. But while this is still wet, I'm going to sprinkle my glitter onto that surface so that it sticks down. And I will have a sparkly, shiny Nautilus. Just trying to get good coverage there. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this month-long journey. I do have a playlist that has all of my videos on it. You can use the hashtag for those other people that have made videos out here on YouTube. And, you know, if you enjoy this kind of challenge, if you want to see what others are doing, be sure and join us on our Facebook group, which is Art Joy of Sharing. We'd love to have you there. And I look forward to seeing you again next month with more of my artistic creations. And remember to be kind and love one another. And I'll see you again next time, guys. Bye for now.